Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about spiritual magic, the law of attraction, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a musician, teacher, and tarot oracle card reader.
I love you, Collin. That was great. He just kind of segued away from our friend Tom. He was just like, we're hitting record right now. My name is Stephanie, and I'm a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking, and lots of awesome stuff happens from there.
And I forgot to mention, I'm based in North Hollywood, California, in the Los Angeles area, and you are?
In San Diego, California.
Beautiful San Diego, California. Every week here on Co-Creation Station, we start our conversation from a different jumping off point. And the jumping off point that you wanted to bring up, Stephanie, to start us off this week is sort of a few more of the terms that Abraham uses in her workshops and books and tapes and things like that. Not tapes, I guess nobody has tapes anymore. CDs, DVDs?
CDs and DVDs, yes.
Did you know, by the way, did you know that kids don't do this anymore?
What do they do? Really?
Yeah.
No, that's the first. Thank you.
Yeah. I saw a video on that like this week because phones don't do this anymore. This is from the, well, I mean,
but
sure
we are from the
we're definitely old
generation.
enough for this. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm always get happy when I see a little rotary dial. I think I posted on my social media one day. I was downtown and walking around and came upon a phone, phone booth kind of, and I was like, "What? There's still these here!" And I like took a selfie. It was great.
My question is, how do you tell the difference between I'm on my phone and like, oh, that's wonderful?
Well, if you're of that generation, that's not what that is.
Yeah, that's phone.
Yeah, that's like 60 and 70-year-old. Oh, you're so wonderful.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are listening, we're like putting
either.
our hand to our ear, to our cheek and our chin, and just kind of like cradling the left or right side of our face with our.
My apologies to the listeners on the audio version. Yeah, I was doing the thing that Gen Xers and baby boomers can do with you take your pinky and your thumb and you make like an old receiver on
it's
the
like
phone.
A hang loose sign, but then you put it up to your ear and your mouth.
And that's like call me or I was on the phone or whatever. And kids don't do that anymore because they've never had that. So the jumping off point that you wanted to discuss was some of the other, we had an episode a few episodes ago about sort of explaining what the vortex is, which is a big term that Abraham uses pretty regularly. You wanted to talk about point of attraction.
Point of attraction. So one of the terminologies that they use is point of attraction. And so we want to, Collin and I don't really use that term very much. However, it kind of does go into what we do talk about is like what we focus on. We draw more of that to us. And so we wanted to talk about that because then we're doing anytime we focus on anything for 17 seconds or longer, law of attraction kicks in and gives us more of whatever we're focusing, talking, or thinking about. And the more we do that, so like 68 seconds, then it's like full blown, then more thoughts that like it come in. And so I remember I was telling you, Collin, like several years ago when I was doing a lot of Abraham Hicks and learning and practicing, I was like, I had something negative to tell my friend. We were meeting and I'm like, okay, I have 16 seconds to tell you this story. And if I can't complete it in 16 seconds, then I need to stop. And I start to like bitch or whatever. And I barely, whatever I was going to talk about came out of my mouth. And I set my timer, 16 seconds were up and I was like, shit. And then I didn't tell her. I was like, oh, well, and we just started talking about something else because I didn't want to set that in motion and then have it create. I was really surprised how very little I can talk about in 16 seconds. Mm. Like if you ever time your story, it takes like a good 2 or 3 minutes to get into it.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about how when I say, tell me something good, like that takes minutes. And so then already law of attraction is in and it's like more ideas come, more thoughts, more memories of those things that feel good.
Yeah. Abraham over the years, if you listen to watch the DVDs, read the books, listen to the workshop audio that's on YouTube a lot, as I have, one of the things I really love about her is she's always sort of coming up with new, again, in one sense, just like us, like she says, she's been talking about the same thing since the 1990s. We essentially are talking about the same thing every episode,
over and over again. Yeah.
But we cover different parts of it, or we come at it from different angles. And for me, that helps me continue to learn and continue to practice the mental practices I need to like remember the law of attraction, remember the art of allowing.
Because all of this is practice. This is
Yeah.
practice. Every morning, hitting the reset button. Let me do that again.
But one of the things that she introduced a while ago, years ago, is this thing called Rampages, which when she does them, what she does is she just talks for at least 68 seconds, but sometimes it's even longer. It's 2 or 3 minutes.
Definitely.
And it's like a stream of positive, individual positive thoughts. And, one of them that I have I think I've saved the audio on my phone to listen to from time to time is like, she's just like, it's a morning rampage when you wake up and you say, I love myself, I love my life, I love the world that I live in, I love my friends, I love my family. And then it escalates, and she's like, I love the country I live in, I love the world, I love my government, I love she gets into some of these things that most people don't love, but she's just like, but the thing is, it's so positive. And for me, what I was saying in the friend time before the episode was, it does two things for me. One, if I'm in a negative space or I'm just like in a neutral space, it makes sure that I'm in a positive space. Like it sort of flips the dial over to like, oh yeah, let's look at gratitude today. Let's look at appreciation. Let's look at like what's going awesome and what I'm looking forward to and what I'm excited about. Let's not, revisit.
You're leaning
stuff.
into that better feeling place, right?
Right.
Because some people are like, oh, positive. I don't want to be all positive, whatever. And it's like, well, let's just go for that better feeling thought, that better feeling emotions. It either feels good or it doesn't.
Yeah. But also the rampage, like you say, it builds momentum. Like I start feeling strong positive emotions. Like I start feeling excitement. I start feeling good about myself. I start feeling happy. I start feeling, wonder and curiosity and all this sort of stuff. And so like by the end of one of those rampages, I'm typically like physically feeling the emotions that are good feelings. And so again, we always talk about like, so the benefit of that is like, well, okay, so now you feel good. Like that's the whole point of life, basically.
Yeah. Well,
but
and
also
that's why I want anything, is because I think I'll feel better having it. Like she says it all the time, and I love that. It's so true. I'm like, oh, I can feel good now. I don't have to have that thing.
But also, it will just being in good emotions means your point of vibration is higher, and you
pre-paving
will attract more.
Yeah, I like to call it, well, she calls it, and I love to say it, pre-paving. Like I'm pre-paving a future moment. Like if I'm feeling good now, then I'm going to feel better an hour from now if I keep doing this. Yeah. It's just the momentum's building and it's just going to keep going. Just like it does in the opposite. If I stub my toe, I'm angry or whatever. If I keep that going, an hour later, I'm still going to be pissed off. Yeah. I'm not going to be a happy camper at all.
I love that part. I think it's in The Secret where they sort of do a visual of that, of a person waking up in the morning, stubbing their toe, and then sort of maintaining the negative attitude, and then all these sort of bad things that, like, she spills coffee on herself and she gets stuck in traffic, and you can sort of I don't know if they actually do an audio, but like for me, I could actually see like on a day that I would do that, like there are all these thoughts that I've learned from like my family when I was growing up, or my community, or the media, or whatever. Like, well,
and they're habitual.
Oh, well, of course that would happen. Like, I'm just having this is just going to be one of those. That's one I hate. I shouldn't hate things, but when people say, "Oh, it's just one of those days," to me, that's like a blanket statement. Like, "Oh, universe, please give me a whole day filled with negative experiences, so I can get into my like crankiness about it." And but then they show the opposite, where she still gets out of bed. She still stubs her toe, but then she's just like, I stubbed my toe. Whatever. I don't care. And like she goes to the
Like,
bathroom and
oh,
she's
kisses. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Boo
she goes
boo.
to the bathroom and she's out of toothpaste and she can't brush her teeth and she's like, eh, I gotta buy some toothpaste. All right. And then she goes and has an amazing day. Like somebody gives her flowers randomly and like all this
Mm,
stuff. And I
mm.
mean, that's a fictional representation, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's really like you can try that and observe it, and it
Well,
really
and I think we've had those experience, right?
right.
We've all had
Yeah,
those experience to some degree. We can
yeah.
remember those things. Like I can think of it as you're saying it. Well, and even if I can't wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh, I love this" or "I love that," I remember
Hmm.
practicing this from somebody's book. I think it was Rhonda Byrne's book. It's up there somewhere on my bookshelf, but
The
it was
power,
the magic, I think, and it's
magic.
like 28 days. And one of the days, because it was a different practice each day, and one of the days was being thankful. So as soon as
Mm,
I open my eyes, being thankful, and it'd be like, oh, I'm thankful for my pillow. I'm thankful for my comfy bed. I'm thankful that I slept really well. I'm thankful that I'm awake. I'm alive.
mhm.
And then, oh, I'm thankful for my view. I'm thankful for these sheets. And I remember she was like, be thankful for everything you touch and do as soon as you wake up. Let me tell you, I just barely made it into the kitchen and I'd said like 100 thank yous. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this one.
Mm,
But we can, sometimes I'm kind of, for me right now, I'm tired of the tell me something good. I'll do that with myself. And
mhm,
instead I'll be like, what am I thankful for?
mm.
And then I'll, get into that. And that helps me get into that.
I think it's interesting you bring that up. I was just thinking earlier, like it would be good for somebody to create a glossary of like Abraham terms because I was thinking there's all these like we've come up with like five. There's also like the high flying disc segment. What does she call it?
Segment
Intending. Yeah.
intending.
So
That one's
maybe we can.
powerful. I use that. I was talking to you about that in friend time. I use
Well,
it.
the thing about segment intending, which just to briefly describe it, it means like you pause before a particular part of your day, usually like an activity like I'm going to drive to work or I'm going to have a meeting or I'm going to spend time with my children or something like that. And you just say to yourself, okay, what is my intention for this segment of my day, this part of my day?
Mm-hmm.
So for the drive to work, you know, um, I intend that this is going to be a peaceful drive where I'm going to feel, I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel appreciative. I'm not going to, I'm going to
I
encounter only
intend.
positive drivers.
Yeah.
Any negative drivers are going to
Or
dissipate
I
in front of me or
intend to
something.
enjoy my drive. I intend to arrive safely. I
Yeah.
intend to enjoy the drive. I intend to think thoughts that feel good while I'm driving. I
Yeah.
intend to interact with other drivers who are in a good feeling space too. Whatever.
Yeah.
The word I intend is very powerful, more powerful than the word I
Mm,
want and or I need. I don't remember the whole meaning behind it. I use it a lot. I was going somewhere last night and I said it as I was driving over, and I said I intend, and I went on and on about how I want the evening to go. And
mm.
I was leaving that um, little get together. I was driving home and I was like, oh shit! Like everything I said happened.
Well, for me,
Wow.
I think the difference between those two words, because in Royce Christian's book on scripting, which I talked
Oh
about way
yes.
back at the
Uh
beginning
huh.
of season one,
Mm-hmm.
that I use, part of that technique is he does it in the morning, I do it at night before I go to bed, but it's you write what you want on one side, you open the notebook so it's like this, and then you write what you want on the left side, and
Mm-hmm.
then you write it as I want da da da, and then on the other side you write I intend. And I was
Mm-hmm.
curious about that. It's like what, like because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like yeah, intend has more weight to it or something, and for
Yeah,
me I think
it's
it's just sort of
powerful.
like I want starts from just me, which is where most of us start. Like that's when we want something, it comes from just us.
Mm-hmm.
But I intend for me means I'm working with the universe. I'm going to work with
Mm.
the universe. And as Abraham
Oh,
says a
I
lot,
like
like
that. That is
I'm going to
sexy.
cooperate with the power that creates
Yes.
worlds
Rrr.
and do my part
Absolutely.
to kind of, and for me, it's
Mm.
almost like that's what I'm saying. I'm instead of trying to force it from my want or desire.
Or it's
I'm
just
going to,
singular, right? It's
yeah,
me. I have to figure it out. Or
right,
how is it going to happen? I want this, but I don't know. I don't have
yeah,
all the information. I
yeah.
can't do it on my own, kind of a thing. But
I'm going to
yeah,
allow it with the help of the universe.
I intend is more like in
Yeah,
alignment. This is my desire. This is my intention. And then being, oh, it's ease and flow. I
yeah,
just realized that. Like, I intend is like ease, flow, and then letting go. It's like I always
yeah,
tell people, set your intention, whatever it is. I intend, da, 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 and then just let it go and don't even
yeah,
think about it and just go about your day. But also, and do your best to feel as good as you can, as often as you can, for as long as you can. Imperfectly imperfect. Like, we're not always happy, joy. That's not
yeah.
how humans live.
But
But
that's what helps me remember that, because when I need to identify what it is that I want for the upcoming day or week or whatever,
yeah,
it is helpful for me to just write I want, because it does
yeah.
sort of feel like a list in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
When I write I intend, that reminds me the thing that I think I forget the most, which
Mm-hmm.
is in this whole game, which
Mm-hmm.
is that I don't have to effort. You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
there may be inspired action that I'm required to do, but my intuition will let me know about that. I don't have to effort it. I don't have to
Right.
force it. And the universe can bring it like that
I
in ways
know, isn't it
I have
great?
no idea
I
how.
love
You know,
it.
we've talked on other episodes about like
Yeah.
it's really good if you can let go of the how. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. If I stay in I want, what my brain naturally does next is go, well, then it's totally up to you. How are you going to control this into happening?
Or it goes into I got to figure it out mode.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
now
Same.
we're in like problem solving mode. How do
Right.
we make this happen? And it's like,
Exactly.
it's not my job. I can't even figure. I don't. There's like, we talked about this before. It's like the universe is like this abundant kitchen filled with every ingredient and endless
Hmm.
supply, and I get to pick and choose.
Hmm.
Um, but the universe, because God, spirit, all that is, knows everything at every moment, knows the vibration of everyone, and can put us, into alignment. Like I love how they say, like, if you're in a better feeling, like if I'm in a better feeling place, I can be walking down the street, happy, joy, da da, appreciation or whatever, and there could be something horrible going on, and it's not even gonna come in my atmosphere because my energy is all the way up here, and that energy is like in a lower vibration, so we cannot come into each other's sphere. I may see
Right.
you at a distance, but it's not even. And then someone who's in a not feeling so good, whatever's going, they could run right into it, or they're
Mm.
fearful of it and thinking about it. I don't want it, I don't want it. But because I'm practicing the energy of it, I draw it to me from the law of attraction.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned gratitude earlier, and I think um, because we've talked about the psychological phenomenons of like the negativity bias and the spotlight effect, which long story short, like our brains from evolution were designed to help us survive. So our brains are wired to look for problems, look for danger, look for threats, and like solve the problem, defeat the threat, run from the threat, whatever. So we are kind of like it's almost in a weird way going against, I wouldn't say our nature, but like that part of our nature to think positively.
From
And
a
the thing that,
long time ago, we have
yeah,
evolved, and it's like, let's move beyond people.
but the thing is that impulse also does sometimes yield good things. Like it's sort
Oh,
of how we use
absolutely.
it. Like
Yeah.
problem solving can bring good things into the world. It's just how we choose to focus on it and that sort of thing. But I think the thing that gratitude and appreciation does for me, because that sort of if I think of that part of my brain as like a lighthouse that's like, or a searchlight that's like searching for problems and danger,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is in a weird way in the present. It can go back into the past, but it's like a present thing that's like, where's the danger, where's the problem. What it doesn't account for, and this is the whole, like, people in culture talk about first world problems or that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like, one
Yeah.
of my favorite stories is from some radio show that a friend of mine heard, where this woman called in and said, the the largest size of coffee that Starbucks makes won't fit in the cup holder of either one of my Porsches. What do I do about this problem? And the reason, and it's easy to make fun of that, but the
Yeah.
thing is like if a lot of your life is really amazing, like you have plenty of money, you have a gorgeous house,
Yeah.
you have plenty of friends, your family's all doing healthy, like your brain, that part of your brain is still going to search for problems. So it's like, yeah,
Right.
the Starbucks cup doesn't fit in the cup
Yeah.
holders of
Yeah.
either one of our Porsches. What are we
Yeah.
going to do about that? But the way that one of the most important ways for me to get out of that is gratitude and appreciation, because what gratitude and appreciation does is it forces me to look backward a little bit. Because even if I'm saying, well, I'm grateful for this apartment,
Yeah.
for me it's like, oh, I remember getting this apartment and how fortunate I felt, and I feel, I remember the memories of, you know, how great it is that I live here and all the things that I get to
And how
enjoy
happy
because of
you
this
were
place.
that you had found it.
Yeah. And for me, that switches from that searchlight for danger over to, oh yeah, there's no real danger right here. You know, like I'm safe.
Yeah. Well,
And I
and
can
too,
enjoy my life.
I think too, like, you know, like even last night I was like, oh, I'm not gonna walk 3 blocks by myself. It was really late and what have you.
Mhm.
And so I was like, what was it? Oh, someone to escort me to my car.
Mhm.
And I think it's using that logical brain, like, okay, this, you know, looking at the scenarios, what could possibly, and then doing what's for my highest good.
Yeah.
And I felt like I did, where I could have been like, oh no, it's fine. I was like, let's not be ignorant here, like let's be safe.
Well,
And
that's,
so that's the other thing too, is like,
yeah.
please use better judgment, good judgment for your situation, whatever it may be. And be
Yeah. I
aware,
mean,
like, I'm not
I
gonna
heard
just
this
go down a
phrase,
dark alley by myself late at night or whatever. It's like, use common sense always, please.
but it, you know, that's an interesting point, because I heard this phrase a long time ago that's always been very helpful for me, which is trust God, but tie your horse to a tree.
I've never heard that. I like
I'm
that.
assuming from many years ago when we were using horses rather than,
Yes.
you know, cars. But I think that's what you're talking about there, is that there is, because when people, you know, like the people that are skeptic about the law of attraction and everything, I understand, you know, because they're like, oh, well, I just sit and meditate on like happiness and I'm going to be happy. But it's like the challenge, one of the challenges with it is, if you have a deep-seated belief, even if you just try to randomly practice the law of attraction, you're probably not going to defeat that long-standing belief.
Well,
So,
we're not practicing law of attraction, because law of attraction
well,
just
practicing the
is.
art of allowing, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Working with the law of attraction.
There you go.
No, thank
On
you.
your behalf.
That's an important distinction.
Well, and I think that's what happens for a lot of people, and the person you're thinking of right now, you know, just in general, that's what they think, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
it is just like the law
It's
of
going
gravity.
all the
It
time.
exists.
Yeah.
We just want to work in conjunction for our highest good and not work against ourselves. We want to work for ourselves.
Right. So like an example would be like, most people believe that if they're in a big city, for example, and they park their car in a shopping center or something, that they should lock the car or set an alarm, because otherwise someone might break in and steal something.
Right.
So if you have that belief and it's very well ingrained in you, and you decide to test Collin and Stephanie and what we talk about every week, you're like, well, I live in Chicago, and I'm gonna go to the grocery store and I'm gonna park and I'm gonna leave my car unlocked and I'm gonna think about how it won't get broken into. Right?
Yeah, I know.
And then they go in the store and they come out and everything they had on the passenger seat's gone. They ripped the radio out.
Yeah.
So, and I can see somebody going, see, like that doesn't work. And what you don't understand about that is like, that's still you attracting it, because you had that longstanding belief. You actually contradicted your own longstanding belief, which is, I need to lock my car, otherwise something bad can happen. So the thing is, if you have that belief operative, and it's not an outlandish belief like that, and it's also not terribly harmful, because you can lock your car every time you go, right?
Yeah.
So if you have that belief, you need to lock your car, because even if you try in the moment to like think like, oh no, my car's safe, The reality probably will be is that you won't defeat that belief. The belief will be your point of attraction for that. But
Which is,
I do believe,
yeah.
and this is just a belief, and I'm not going to push it on anybody, but if somebody's like really evolved and like Deepak Chopra comes to mind or something like that,
Yeah, Wayne Dyer.
or Wayne Dyer, or maybe Esther on a good day, Esther Hicks. But if they can really maintain the vibration of like, my car is safe, I don't need to lock it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Happens all
They'll
the
come out and
time.
it won't be broken into.
That's
But
right.
it's just like, most of us need the sort of tired horse to a tree things in those sort of situations.
Yeah.
It's not, the art of allowing is not some like carte blanche to like just like do everything differently and hope it all works out. It's sort of like you have to take it case by case,
Yeah.
by belief by belief,
Yeah,
moment by
because we're
moment.
all different, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember years ago walking when I had my personal assistant business, and I went with a customer, and we were walking at the beach, and she was a very spiritual woman, and she took off her flip flops and she set them over by the rocks or whatever, and we were going to go for a walk, and I remember thinking, like you're going to just leave your sandals there, like you're going to come back, they're going to be gone, they're cute little sandals, someone's going to see them and take them.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I trust that they're going to be there. And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my sandals off and held them. And so I was like, I'm not leaving mine there.
Right.
Take the chance of them being gone when I come back. And we went for a nice long walk, and we came back. She put on her sandals because they were still there, because she trusted and believed that they'd be there. And it was a really great example for me to be like, oh wow, it is safe. And ever since then, I remember practicing it for the first time, and of course I kind of hid them, by the rocks or whatever. I didn't want them out in plain view, and it was just like, I'm gonna be back for you. You better be there when I get back. And went for a nice long walk and came back, and they were there. And I've done it multiple times. I remember going with someone and doing it, and they were like, kind of like I was the first time, like, you're gonna leave your your shoes there. And I'm like, yeah, they'll be there when I get back. And then finally, I think the second time I was with this person, they did it, and it was, always gone back. And so it's just those things, like I had, at first I didn't have that belief, and then I practiced it, and then it's always, so it's different for everyone, right?
I love those two examples, because that really shows, like in the first example, like you still did, I don't want to say the right thing, but like,
for me in the moment,
you acknowledged that you had a belief.
And I didn't want to. I was like, no way, I love these sandals.
Right. Like the problem there is, if you have that belief operative,
if I would have left them and then really was afraid they were going to be gone, I'd have came back. Her sandals would have been there. Mine may have not have been.
But the other part to that is something that Wayne Dyer talked about sort of later in his life, which was interesting to me, because he said that he had a great just really good, solid, ingrained beliefs about his health. Like, I'm healthy, I'm going to be healthy, everything's going to be fine. And then one time he had a heart attack, and he was so pissed off, like so pissed off at the universe. I've maintained my vibration, I know how this works, like I didn't attract this, whatever. And then when he got to the hospital, there was somebody that he was sharing the room with him, who really needed to hear some of what he had to share. Like, it really was like a life-changing experience for the other person.
Got chills up my legs. That's awesome.
And so then Wayne Dyer was like, oh, okay. Like, even if the sandals are gone, like, even if your friend's sandals could have been gone, but she trusts not just that most times they're going to be there, but if they're gone, that is the universe redistributing things. Like, that's literally like, maybe somebody
else needed them more than
was in poverty and needed footwear that day, or what, or somebody was whatever,
or I was ready to give them up and I wasn't. Like, it was time to let them go, and I was still hanging on. And so the universe working on my behalf.
There's another story, an artist who I followed for many years before he died, Spalding Gray, who was kind of like he was like an avant-garde performance artist, but mainly what he settled into for his career was he would do these monologues in theaters around the country, and they're just stories of like a 3-month period of his life where all this crazy shit happened.
Mm.
And in one of the most famous ones that got made into a movie called Swimming to Cambodia, he talks about he had a small role in this movie that was shooting somewhere in Southeast Asia. I mean, the movie was about Cambodia, but I don't think they shot it in Cambodia. I think they shot it in Thailand or something. And he was going to go swimming with a friend, and he realized, and they went down this beach, and it's not, there's nothing, it's just beach. Like there's nothing there. And he realized he had his wallet with him with like $2,000 or something like that in it.
Mm.
And his friend was like, yeah, just leave it on the beach. And he's like, I can't leave it on the beach. He's like, you need to experience the freedom of leaving that on the beach. Oh. And so they went out swimming, and it ended up that like Spalding Gray swam out way too far, and he like almost drowned, and like somehow recovered and like got back to shore. Yeah. And he just realized that he had completely let go of thinking about the money on the beach. It was all about the experience of the beauty of the ocean and everything, and his body swimming, and then like saving his own life because he went out far by accident and all this stuff. And like he had just become, but it was like he talked about how he was so aware, like when he put the money down, how like his brain had attached like his part of him to the money, and he was scared of the money getting stolen because it was like part of him would get stolen. But after the whole experience of swimming, he realized like, oh my God, that's something my brain made up. Like that money isn't part of me. It's a possession, it's a temporary possession, but it has nothing to do with me as a spirit moving through this human experience, so that makes me think of that too. Like if the sandals are gone, it doesn't mean the end of the world. It means you need to buy a new pair of sandals.
Not at all. Right.
And and again, you don't want to be, somebody who loses their shoes every day and has to buy a new pair every day. But, but there is this sort of, we over attach ourselves to objects, to events, activities, things like people, sometimes. And it's really important to realize that we're a spirit on a human journey. And,
Oh, Collin, I love that story. Thank you. That was great. Oh.
It's a great movie if anybody wants to go watch it. Swimming in Cambodia. Very well done. All right. Well, we started out with like defining Abraham terms, and we ended up with like a near drowning freedom experience in Thailand. But
we hope you enjoy each episode. I mean, sometimes we do this windy road. Sometimes we come back, and other times we're like off, head north and go east or west, but it's all good.
All right. Well, Stephanie, if people want to find you on the interwebs,
www.powerinjoy, powerinjoy.com, and I have a free 30-minute discovery session for you if you'd like to chat and see how we may help each other.
And if you want to get in touch with me, the best way right now is Instagram. You can follow me and DM me there. It's at Collin, Collin, just like is on the screen right here somewhere, right there. Collin_Daniels, DANIELS _Worster, WORSTER. But we'll have more links down in the description on YouTube and in the podcast. So thank you so much for listening. If you listen to the audio version, thank you so much for watching. If you watched us on the Co-Creation Station YouTube channel, whatever the platform you're listening and watching on allows you to do for us, write us a review, like us, subscribe to us, follow us, whatever it allows you to do. Anything you do helps us, and we're very grateful to you. So
thank you.
We wish you a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time on Co-Creation Station.
Bye, y'all.